lo and behold, after the trusted build, they went in, did another forensic image. The records from the first had been obliterated.
Right. That's a problem. And Tina Peters, we actually saw the other night, Mr. Finchem was with me at the screening for Selection Code, the movie, which you can download for free and share with all your friends. So please look into that. We'll put that in the bio as well. And she actually was via Zoom because the judge would not allow her to leave the state to come to Arizona to be at our forum or at the screening, and is having all kinds of problems for trying to uphold the law in her capacity up there in Colorado.
But wait, there's more.
What is more?
Tina did not believe that the Dominion voting machines accurately counted the vote.
Right.
She had polling that had her 15% ahead of the other Republican nominee or candidate, and when the election was over, she was 15% down. That's a 30-point swing.
Yeah, yeah, it's impossible.
So she went to the county that is known for election irregularities, posted a $280,000 bond, and after the count was done, lo and behold, there was a 62% error rate between the paper ballots and the machine counted ballots in her favor, which means instead of losing that county, she actually won that county.
Right.
That is enough to force a statewide hand count of all ballots.
Right.
I predict that Tina Peters is going to win that contest, and I also predict that at some point Jenna Griswold will face the music for what she's done. Every single record, by the way, that was deleted is its own unique federal crime.
Right.
Under 52 CFR 20701. That's the law. Look it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
52 CFR 20701. If you type that into a search browser, you'll be able to read this very short law that requires elections officials to preserve paper and electronic election records for 22 months.
All right, that's something we should all look into also. I mean, there's so much information about this out there, and a lot is on film. You don't have to believe or even listen to the news stations to know what's going on. You literally can use Google to your advantage and just look it up yourself and see things with your own eyes, including things that happened here in Arizona with our Dropbox situation that we still are trying to get a handle on, I think, for this upcoming election. Are you going to be involved in any, or do you know how any of that can be assuaged going into November, that we don't have these huge Dropbox problems?
Well, here's one thing that's been going on around the country. Have a tailgate party outside of a Dropbox location and set up
that's been happening?
Oh, yeah. It's been happening here.
Fun.
Do a tailgate, set up a grill, do hamburgers and hot dogs, and if somebody walks up to the Dropbox with a bag full of ballots, just say, offer them a hot dog. Say, oh, by the way, we're filming this.
Okay, that sounds like fun. So that's something for you guys in your groups to check into, definitely. I was working the polls this year. I was poll certified as an observer at our primary election, and I will say I did witness and reported several people as I had to take little notes. One gal came in and dropped 5 ballots in. Now you can have yourself and a spouse. Unless you sign for somebody and you're legally their representative, you can drop theirs in 2, but you're not supposed to drop in more than that, 1 or 2. So I did see that happening a lot, and I know that it's a problem. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. We hope that our groups that are representing us and involved in trying to stop it really are on top of it for November, because I know it's a big fear factor for a lot of us.
Yep.
Let's really quickly too, also, I know you got to go, so I don't want to keep you forever, although I could. Border control, our immigration security is out of control, lack thereof. We don't have the help federally, so we've taken some steps internally. What do you think about those steps, and what do you think if they're not working, what we should be doing?
There's a stopgap. There's a stopgap until we have until the lawless federal government is replaced.
Right.
Title 42 is working. I think what's happening here is the Democrats know that they have lost the vast majority of support in their own party.
Yes.
And that's why they are so insistent upon not having a proof of citizenship so that everybody can vote.
Right.
That means, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or Independent, they want to have somebody who does not have legal status in this country to nullify your vote. That's what happens in a banana republic.
That's right.
And that is what they are up to.
Yeah,
Used to be they were a little crafty about it. Now they just full on don't care. They know that they are losing the upcoming election. They are going to cheat. And when I say they, I'm not talking about Democrats.
Right, right.
I'm talking about the establishment power cartel that is made up of both Democrats and Republicans working together in order to preserve their status. And this is talked about in selection code.
Yes.
It's not about an election. It's about creating the simulacra that you had an election, knowing full well that there are certain individuals, because of the way votes are processed within these machines, they're destined to win.
Do you really think, you said stopgap, do you really think the cargo tin cans that are putting up, what do you call them, shipping containers?
Sea cans.
Yeah, shipping containers. They're empty. Are you finding this? I see the numbers every day. I mean, we have people on the border, a couple of the reporters who stay down there all the time, who are literally, you see the pictures, 400 this morning, 600 yesterday morning, 600 at the evening news. I mean, are they really stopping anything?
They're slowing it down.
Are they?
They're slowing it down. I mean, until we have the wall completely built,
right.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
And until you have enough manpower to patrol that wall, you're not going to be able to stop people from cutting big holes in it with torches. What I find disgusting is that the Biden administration hired 87,000 IRS agents, but they wouldn't hire 87,000 Border Patrol agents.
Right. I just was talking to my sister you just met. She was leaving, and I explained to her, she had not heard about the wristbands. She didn't realize the cartel ran the people coming across, and she didn't even think they had anything to do with it. She'd never heard of gotaways. I mentioned the gotaways. She's like, you mean they just get away? I said, they just get away. The Border Patrol doesn't stop them. She goes, are you guys short-staffed? So she's up in Portland. Like, they don't even know this is a thing.
That's why you have so many people of illegal entry status showing up in Portland, by the way.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Illegal entrants, that's what I actually like to call them, illegal entrants.
They're not immigrants.
They're not immigrants. They're not aliens either. They come from outer space, according to our government. So illegal entrance is a little more accurate, I think. We're trying to get this to catch so that it's not offensive. So then we don't see illegal aliens anymore. Nobody can be offended. Yeah. So when you're Secretary of State, what role will you play with those also elected, if we're very, very, very fortunate and God is helping us? What role do you play in making that happen?
Well, the Secretary of State is in Arizona for the time being the de facto lieutenant governor, number 2 in the line of succession for power. From time to time, when the secretary or when the governor leaves the state, the secretary is the acting governor of the state of Arizona. In the event that the governor leaves for whatever reason, I mean, this has happened 6 times in the history of Arizona, the Secretary of State becomes the new governor. Now, one of the problems that I have with that is succession planning, because you always have to have an eye towards all the redundancy thing. You know, what are the potentials? What are the defects? What are the things that could hamper the operations of government? Because after all, the people of Arizona rely on a smoothly operating state government. Right. Because the federal government isn't going to give them anything except a check that actually doesn't mean, that doesn't.
Cash?
Well, if you can cash it, but
is there money in the kitty?
The money is it's all fiat currency.
Right.
Okay. So I will support the governor, support the attorney general, support the legislature, advise whenever called upon to advise, and then perhaps I might even go through our system and where there are gaps in the law, make recommendations to the legislature. Because after all, you know, and maybe this is something that I bring to the table that the other candidate doesn't. After being in the legislature for 8 years, I understand the role of the legislature and the role of the executive branch.
Right.
The legislature is there to craft public policy and to put it into words, and it is up to the executive branch to execute on the laws that the legislature has written. Right. Now, our current lawless Secretary of State decided that it'd be a great idea to collude with the judicial branch and write consent decrees.
Right.
Thus circumventing and usurping the authority of the people's representatives to write law.
And now, isn't that illegal in some?
No, it's not illegal. It's just untoward.
Yeah.
And frankly, I've already gone on record, and I'll go on record again. If there is an urgent matter that requires a consent decree, I'm going to refer that to the legislature, and that means that either the legislature will have to call itself into session with a 2/3 majority, or the governor of the state will have to call the legislature into session to debate the issue, craft a policy that addresses the problem, and move on. I would like to see a law that requires that happen and essentially ties the hands of other executive officers. Right. I don't like the idea of engaging in consent decrees.
So no arbitrary motions by you?
Yeah.
Okay, well that sounds fair.
Yeah.
And talking about the other candidates that are running alongside of you, Carrie Lake for governor, Blake Masters for Senate, and Abraham Hamada for our Attorney General, we are all hoping they're going to be elected. We're all working towards that. Hypothetically, some are, some aren't, perhaps. Where do you stand on, a lot of people think you can't work with the other side. Where do you stand on that? I mean, are we going to see some synergy no matter what happens? For those of us who hope that everybody can get along and work together for the benefit of us who are down here while you guys are at the Capitol working, I mean, is that something that we can look forward to regardless of what happens ultimately?
After Joe Biden's speech last night, I have some serious concerns that can happen.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear that, so I'm going to have to watch that later, but what do you have to say about that?
It was very much an East German Stasi kind of speech. When you go out and you vilify over half of the people in the United States, you could take MAGA out and substitute it with the target during World War II, and it sounded like a very fascist speech. Now, people need to understand that's what Nazi Germany was. They weren't communists, they weren't Marxists. They were built along the same construct as Mussolini's fascist state. And that's, if you look at what we have today, we have the media, we have the private sector, and we have the government all colluding to enforce their will over the people. And we've seen the weaponization of every federal office.
Right.
Never before has the FBI raided a past president's home.
Unbelievable.
This is what happens.
Right before the election.
Yeah. This is what happens in banana republics. This is what happens in the old Soviet Union. This is what happens in Maoist China.
Happens now. I mean, you see somebody just died in Russia the other day, just got fell out of a window in a hospital. Like, aren't those locked for safety purposes? I don't know.
That's called getting
whacked. But I mean, that's just, not good.
So
not good.
I have my doubts, but I hope that the other side comes to the realization that if you don't work with your opposition, you're not long for this world.
Right.
You're
and
as an elected official.
Everybody, really. I mean, getting along in your legislature and your bodies, I mean, you're working for us still.
That's right.
And people, I know it's so like disparaging the places where they are, our legislators and on federal and local levels, to the people who are working their jobs every day. And so it gets disconnected of who's working for whom. And we are trying to refocus that. They talk about it a lot, I hear, on a lot of channels too. But we all have to remember that they are working for us. Our tax dollars, no matter how little or a lot you pay in taxes, they all go into the pot, and they all go to pay the people, and among other services in our communities. So
they are accountable to the taxpayer.
They are accountable to us, and we have to pay attention to what's going on. Somebody said the other day, you don't hire the babysitter and then never check in on them when they're watching your child. I mean, you just wouldn't do that. You know, some people put actual cams in their house now just to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So I wish.
And we already have cams in the legislature.
We
already have them
on cable.
People need to dial in.
We can watch, so we need to be vigilant. We need to watch for ourselves. Stop listening to your neighbor. Stop listening to social media. Participate with your neighbor in social media. just don't use it as your gauge in life as to what you're doing to make your choices.
Limit your screen time.
I mean, really. I mean, you know. So I also want to let everybody know, social media, since we just mentioned it, Facebook, Twitter, Getter, Rumble. You can find Mark Finchem on his page, votefinchem.com. We'll put it up too in the bio. You can find all his social media there. Also, are your events listed on your page?
They're not.
Okay, how do people want to meet you? Everybody thinks you're not accessible, not you, the candidates in general. I hear it all the time. Do you really get to talk to them? I'm like, just show up. You can talk to them all the time. How can they find you if they want to catch up with you before November?
Probably the best thing to do is become active in your legislative district. Become a PC. Get a hold of, because it's on your voter registration card. Find out who the chairman is for the legislative district. They are sponsoring events.
Okay.
We have fundraisers that are popping up all over the place.
Right.
And you know, meet and greets,
which are very casual. Usually at somebody's house in a neighborhood,
or at a restaurant,
place,
or in a
they're
park.
all over the place. Yeah.
So we've got so many things that are going on right now, and we have a very narrow staff. I mean, we're thin on staff because all of our money is going to prosecute the election.
Right.
You know, we have an events coordinator, a volunteer coordinator, an accountant, and a campaign coordinator.
Well, maybe I can work with his team, and maybe we can get some upcoming dates. I can put them out on social for everybody to find and see.
We'd be okay with that.
And get your calendars in place, because there's a lot happening in the next couple of months. So we're all super busy, and it's hard on work nights, but you need to make time. If you're going to vote, we hope you will. We hope you vote Republican for sure, so we can reverse what's been happening the last 18 or so months, obviously before our eyes, without watching a news channel at all. You can just literally open your front door and see what's going on in the world.
And if you visit the website, please click the donate button.
And click the donate button too. So there's a lot more we can talk about. I'd like to have Mr. Finchem back. I think now I might have a shot, because now he sat with me. He sees me around town. Sometimes he ducks from me a little bit.
No, I don't. I never duck from him.
Just because I'm always hounding him, Mr. Finchem, Mr. Finchem. So he's like our, you know, we just want to know who is going to be representing us. And so we all want to talk to him. And when you do, let's all just be respectful of our candidates and in approach, of course. So keep that in mind as you would anybody else.
And if folks want to hold an event, they can go to my website and click contact.
Okay.
Fill in your name, phone number, email address, and in the contact space, you know, what are you writing about? Say, I would like to hold an event.
Perfect. And you can host your friends and family, and he will come, and sometimes other candidates will come as well, if you can.
If we can.
Yes, so get on that right away. Time's a-ticking. And votefinchem.com is where you can find all of that information. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank
you for having me on.
A little longer than you thought you would, but see how that works? You just start talking, and before you know it, we're 20 minutes past this time frame.
I got to get on and feed the dog.
I know. So we're going to let him go, and thank you all for watching this. And check out my Instagram, Facebook, Getter, True Social, Clout Hub, and YouTube channel for my American Perspective shows that I will post this on too. And this is American Perspective with Patriot Mom 007. Thank you, Mr. Finchem, for being here.
You're welcome.
Right.